And yes, we are live. It is Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are live on the Real Money Coach Show. And I am so glad that you are watching from wherever you are watching from. I'm glad that you are here. As it says, scrolling across your screen, make sure you subscribe to the Real Money Coach on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube page. And we are ecstatic about today. We've been looking forward to today for a long time because I have a dynamic special guest that's going to be with us today, as well as my ace, Boone, Coon, as they used to say back in the day. Michelle Mitchell's going to be with us as well, our co-host. I'm excited. Somebody said good evening. Now, the way you're coming in when you said good evening, I don't see your name. So let me know who you are. Let me know where you're watching from so that we know. Ruth Bell. I know Ruth Bell is in the house. Ruth Bell is in the house. Thank you for being here, Ruth Bell. I appreciate you being here each and every week. You know, we appreciate you guys that come and you show up every single week to watch the Real Money Coach Show. So I know that you guys come to see Michelle. I get it. But, you know, I'm here too. So it's all good. Just having some fun with you tonight. I would like to ask this question. I would like to ask this question for those of you who are watching, and I'll do this again later on in the show, is if you have received your copy of Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money, just put that in the chat. Say, I got mine, right? Put that in the chat. Let me know that you got it. I heard some people sent me some text pictures today that they've received their copy. So if you've received your copy, let me know that you've done it. The other thing we're going to ask you to do is post that on social media. Make sure that you tag me, and you also, there we go, Ruth, I got mine, right? Make sure you tag me, tag the Real Money Coach. Let us know that you got to take a picture of yourself with your book. iPad Your Money, Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money. So I also want to make a couple announcements. One announcement that I want to make, and we'll talk about this a little bit in the show as well, is that on tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, our good friend Alistair Edwards will be hosting a workshop, Understanding Wills and Trust. Understanding Wills and Trust. That will be at 7 p.m. on tomorrow evening. Kimberly, thank you for being here. She said she got her book. I'm glad she got it. She got 2 copies. Let me tell you something. Kimberly ordered 2 copies. She got 2 copies of the book. Charisma Jules, thank you. You should receive yours. If you haven't done it, it's something to do with the mail. They all went out this weekend. So Charisma, you should be getting it. Dr. Vidya Harris, I'm glad you got your book. So I just wanted to talk about this wills and trust document or webinar that's going to take tomorrow evening. Alistair Edwards is going to do that. We will a little bit later make this announcement again, put the link up where you can actually register for it. Those of you who may have saw him on the book launch, powerful story, talks about the 15 minutes between the time he was told that he had to have surgery and when he would need to have surgery. So y'all got to meet Dante. I mean, Dante, we're going to have to bring him off camera because the dude, he's on it. Look at that. You know, we just talk about things and it pops on the screen. I mean, we got to give Dante his props here. So listen, so we talked about that, and actually he's going to be on the show next Tuesday evening because I really want to dig into that testimony of his even more. But there's so many of us, and here's the thing. I think they say it's 7 out of 10 people do not have a will. 7 out of 10 people do not have a will. And so it's very important. It's a free workshop. He's going to go over it. There's a will questionnaire. And I do believe that when you register at some point, you're going to get a copy of that will questionnaire emailed to you so that you can fill that out. I see Robin from Concord is here. Robin got her book today. She sent me a text message with a picture holding her book. And so I'm so excited to get that book in you guys' hands and all that good stuff. So listen, let's go ahead and bring Mrs. Michelle Mitchell onto the screen. Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Tony?
I'm doing good. I was
Good.
just talking to somebody in Kalamazoo today earlier. I had an appointment with somebody from Kalamazoo.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So what's going on in the zoo?
In the zoo? Not much. You know, we had our little taste of spring for one day, but it's over
It
now.
just lasted one day.
It just lasted one day. It's over now.
Yeah, the weather's starting to get nice. It's starting to run the air down here. Can't wait for
Woo!
you guys to be in the South in a couple weeks. I do
Yes,
believe.
we
I don't
will.
mean to put all your business out there, but my wife is excited. Her bestie's coming to town, and
Yes.
I don't play golf until Tony come to town. So
I know, right?
so I'm looking forward to that and being
Yeah.
with Vaughn and hopefully we'll have a great time. We always do.
We're gonna have
So
a great time. Yeah.
we always do have a great time.
We do.
So
We do.
people are just getting their books. They're sending me text messages.
Look
Yeah.
who
So
she
um,
commented.
look, look,
Miss Darlene.
listen. Come on, y'all. Darlene
Hey,
Sutter,
Nana.
that's my mother. That's my mother on my wife's side, and she has put it in the text.
Oh
Listen,
my
mom
goodness.
from Jackson, Michigan. Lord,
Yay.
that's awesome. Look, she's getting a standing
Standing
ovation.
ovation.
Listen, technology will not pass her by. Love her.
Right.
Love you, mom. Love you, love you, love you. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. And speaking of Michigan, I actually talked to Pastor James Hines
Oh,
today,
nice.
who's from Jackson, Michigan, and from your hometown
Yep.
of Ben Harbor,
Yep.
Michigan. Ben
Mhm.
Harbor, Michigan. So
Yeah.
lots of great things happening.
Yeah.
Michelle, we're having this will workshop again because so many people don't have that done, and so we
Mhm.
want to support what Alistair is doing there in
Yes.
terms of getting. And I saw today on Instagram, I think he said that he has a goal to help 10,000 people get their wills done this year.
Wow.
10,000 people getting their wills done this year. And I think that's a great goal to
That is
have.
a great goal.
And it's just needed,
It
because
is.
we always say, why spend all your time developing all these
Yeah.
assets, doing all these wonderful things, and then allow, the state to decide what happens to your stuff.
Yeah.
And
I
actually,
need
I was pretty proud. He actually quoted my book in the post. So
Did
he
he?
quoted, yeah,
Nice.
he did. He did. He
Okay.
quoted the story that I share about James Brown,
Okay.
because James Brown died on Christmas
Yep.
Day. I think it was in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this long court battle goes. There was a South Carolina judge that actually was. It sounded like to me the judge was like, "I'm sick of y'all," right? So he ordered half of his estate to go to charity. So of
Wow.
course, the Supreme Court of South Carolina overturned that decision by
Mm-hmm.
that lower court judge.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just one of those things that we need to just get taken care of. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and especially our parents,
Yes.
when you have children, in terms of making sure that your children are taken care of and all that good stuff. Business owners,
Yeah.
it's just goes on and on. So.
Yeah. I know.
So, are you been busy with it being, you're not really too busy during tax season. It doesn't really
Yeah.
impact.
My busy season was like January and a little bit in
Okay.
February was my busy season. So now, I'm just so you have busy season and then you have to catch up for what you didn't do during busy season. But hey, all I can say is when you train your people well, there's no sweat for you. So,
There's no sweat for you.
so
Michelle,
I didn't sweat that much this year.
so tell the audience again. I think it's a good idea just to remind people, because we have new people listening, exactly what Michelle Mitchell Consulting. Tell them exactly what you do.
Yeah, well, Mitchell Consulting, I founded about 11 years ago, and we started out as an accounting firm, And now we help small business owners like build wealth, find their financial freedom. So we do the back end of what accounting and bookkeeping for your business, but we also like to understand you and who you are and your goals, because we did not start these businesses just to be in business. We started businesses so that we can generate profit. We want to help you bridge your gap, your knowledge gap between your passion of what you do and the profit that comes into your business. And that profit actually feeds your personal financial goals. So we help you direct your business so that you can meet your personal financial goals as the business owner, because you are a shareholder and you should have a financial benefit for running your business and growing it. So that is what we do for business owners. Um, we are currently implementing a new academy for those early stage business owners. So I'm working on developing an academy for you guys, because what our core service is one on one. And you really need to be at a certain level so we can execute on these financial goals that you want. So we are in the process of building out a an academy for early stage business owners, and I'm really excited about that.
That's really good, because a lot of the classes that we teach, even Real Money Coach, and again, we see ourselves as Signal Mountain, Tennessee. Look at that, Tennessee. All right, thank you, Nancy. See, we see ourselves as kind of like that general practitioner, right? So you go
Hmm.
to your general practitioner, and your general practitioner may send you to a specialist. It may send
Yes.
you to
Hmm.
a lung specialist. It may send
Hmm.
you to an orthopedic specialist. And we see ourselves as, we do what we do very well, right?
Hmm.
But we see ourselves as specialists that have these other tentacles where we can send people to get the details. Like, I'm not doing any bookkeeping. I'm not, I mean, that's
Right.
not, I mean, that's where we grew up. I mean, that's how I
Right.
grew up, right? Oh,
That's where we
Nancy,
got
happy
started.
birthday. I didn't even realize that she was from Signal Mountain. So she's on Clubhouse with me.
Oh,
I
okay.
do a Clubhouse with Every Dot Black. We
Hmm.
do Clubhouse every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Nancy's one of the regulars there. So
Okay.
good to see her on the show tonight. So in Every Dot Black, they have I think their mastermind is on Monday, and then they have a Caribbean one that I think takes place actually on Tuesday. So, and
Okay.
it's again about getting entrepreneurs together, mastermind type of thing, like we
Yeah.
talked with Brother Bedford a while back.
Yeah. Hmm.
So but yeah, I think what you do and the work you do is so important. And I know you have such a passion for women,
Yes.
women
And it's
entrepreneurs.
national International Women's Day today. So shout out to the women out there holding it down.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. So
Thanks, Dr. Bonita.
so, and then I have this other idea. I have
Hmm.
this other idea because you're going to be taking some vacation, right?
Yes.
And so I'm gonna need a co-host when you are on vacation. I
You're
haven't
gonna need
said
it.
anything yet. I'm
Oh,
gonna let the cat out the bag. I think I'm gonna have my son be co-host with me for a couple
shut
of weeks.
up.
And here's the thing I think that I want to do. I want him to select every guest for that
Oh,
month, so that it would be young people.
yeah.
Um, and TJ, he don't mind being in front of the camera.
No,
So
you don't. Not at all.
So I haven't even mentioned that to him yet. So if he's watching,
Mm,
uh,
he
that's
might
what
be
Daddy's gonna
watching.
ask you. I'm gonna see what you think about that.
Yeah.
If y'all think that's a good idea, put it in the chat box. It'll
Yeah.
be
I think,
Tony and Tony.
yeah. I think
And
we need to get the young people involved, because
yeah,
they're doing some great things. They're doing, even my
well,
son, he's
well, and
doing
I was
great
gonna
things.
say we could have Tony one of those
Right.
days,
You can
right?
have Tony.
Me, my son Tony, and your son Tony, we could
Yes.
all be on here. And he's doing some wonderful work. If
He
you
really is.
guys go to our YouTube page and you look at the book launch recap, and watch that video, you will absolutely love the work that Antonio did. And I always call him Antonio.
He's known
But
by all
his
others besides
business is
us as
called
Tony. Texture
his business is called
House.
Texture
Tex-
House. Thank you,
yes,
Texture House.
yes.
So yeah, so look for that coming up this spring, you guys. So, but we can chat all day. We have a guest with us
We do.
this evening, and I'll tell you the reason why I was really impressed with her. And I met her. So pre-COVID, those of you who are from Charlotte knows that. I mean, look at all the people saying, "Great
Yeah,
idea, great idea."
yeah.
Robin says a great idea. Nancy says we need the young folks' perspective. Linda says a great idea. So that's awesome. So we had these luncheons with
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Leaks where they would bring the
Oh,
business.
right.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember I was telling you about it
Mm-hmm.
pre-COVID. You know, Lepranda Spain, a good friend of the show. She's been on before. She was the kind of the moderator, and then she stepped aside to do some international things with Commissioner Leaks. Marlon came in as the
Mm-hmm.
moderator. But I met Hope in that process, and the thing that stood out to me is I got a card. I don't even remember that I had a conversation with her. I may not even had a conversation with her, but I remember Hope Writes. And
Oh.
that just kind of that branding stuck with me. And I said, man, when I need some help writing some stuff,
Mm.
I'm gonna look up Hope. And
Yeah.
that's what I did. And so Hope is on the show tonight.
Awesome.
She's an experienced writer and, you know, producing, you know, strong content, words, and that type of thing. And so I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and bring Hope Rivers on the stage with us.
Hello. Nice
Hi,
to meet
Hope.
you both.
How
Welcome.
are you?
I'm good. How are you both?
We are
Good.
doing wonderful. Thank you for being here. I think we put this on the calendar, man, weeks and weeks ago. I mean, maybe 6
Good.
weeks ago. And so I'm glad that the time has come and you're on the show with Michelle and I.
Yes,
Good.
me too. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Hope, what I'd like to do is I'd like to start off and just kind of let you kind of have the mic, so to speak, for a few minutes and
Okay.
tell the audience who Hope is and kind of a little bit of your background, and then we'll get into a little bit of what you do.
All right. All right. So I'll keep it short and sweet because I know that sometimes I can ramble. There's a lot of words in my afro at all times, right? So short and sweet. So my name, like Tony and Michelle said, is Hope. The name of my business is Hope Writes. I am a copywriter. And a lot of people get that confused. They say, well, do you help people to get copyrights? Not exactly. A copywriter simply means that I write so that audiences will take action, right? So whoever your audience may be, and whatever it is that you want them to do, essentially people hire me so that I can better communicate with that audience. And ultimately that audience will take a particular action. So who calls me essentially? I work with creative agencies, I work with career professionals, and I work with small businesses. And what I give them can look a little different depending on what day of the week it is. So sometimes I'm writing commercials for BMW. I have a new celebrity client who I meet tomorrow. I'm pretty happy about that. But I started the week writing resumes. I'm going to finish up a brochure for someone tomorrow. So, you know, what writing looks like in my life can vary from week to week, but I'm appreciative of the variety and the diversity in that space. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So someone
Yeah.
who's a writer, a copywriter, I'm
Mhm.
like, so what is the background? Did you like as a child love to like write, you know, or maybe you know you were a toddler and you wrote on the wall or the table, you wrote every place I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah,
You know,
I haven't had that question before, but it just, a light bulb went off when you asked. And what I'm thinking to myself is I used to stand in my mother and father's mirror when I was younger, and my mom had all this stuff on the dresser. It was there neat, but it was still a lot of stuff on the dresser. She had her hairspray, she had perfume, she had all these things. And I would pick them up one by one and make up commercials. And so I never thought about that until you just asked me that question. And so for me, when people ask about like writing and how it showed up in my life, I think more like all the ways that it kind of showed up significantly in my life. I had to write an essay when I didn't have the money or couldn't think of how to get the money quickly to go to school. And I wrote an essay and got a $40,000 scholarship. Right. So that's the first time I was like, wait a minute, this writing thing might lead to somewhere. Right. You know, and then, you know, there were two other instances in my life that writing kind of showed up as this superpower to like save me, to open a door that would otherwise have been closed. But I just really never really thought about writing until those moments occurred. And they were much later in my life, maybe as a young adult. But yeah, I never really thought about my childhood and how all of these things, it's almost like our purpose kind of follows us around, right? It introduces itself to us early. And if we happen to like be swift enough to catch it, right, we might walk in our purpose a little earlier, right?
Well, but you know, so often that happens. And I love Nancy. I love the connection. Nancy says that you need voiceover for your commercials, and we certainly can make some connections. Nancy, gifted voiceover actor, I guess it would call. And so, you know, our purpose and that gifting that God has us, it shows up early on. I mean, I can remember being a child and you know, preaching in the basement, right? And different things like that. And as you were talking about standing in front of the mirror, writing these speaking these commercials, child, I mean, that's pretty significant. And that's I'm glad that we could bring that out today. I mean,
you know, and so now I'm gonna use that in my speaking engagements. I'm gonna think about that. And I appreciate you kind of asking that question. But yeah, definitely. I think that everything that we're supposed to do in this life, I promise you, and I don't know everything, but I'm pretty solid on this one. I think it comes to us early, right? It's like fate or something. And I talk to my twin about this all the time. I say, you know, do we believe in fate? Right? Like we have these shared beliefs. But we were talking about it the other day, and I was like, you know, I definitely believe in fate. I think that there's like 10 different paths that you can take to get to it. You have an easy path, a hard path, a rocky path, you know, and it's just like, which one will you choose? And I think some of them might get you to your purpose or your fate earlier than others. I definitely took the longer way around. I will be fully transparent about that. And, you know, it got to be to the point where, you know, as far as like traditional employment, the number of jobs I had started to match my age. And I was like, you know, it might be time to really think about something else. And I'm happy that I chose to take a different path, you know. This is working for me.
You mentioned you have a twin. Did you grow up? Where'd you grow up?
In Charleston. So we're from Charleston. And Charleston, Charleston, South Carolina. Yep. Okay. Charleston, South Carolina. And the more excited I get on this call is the more you will hear it.
Well, I was going to say, I don't hear any of that Charleston coming through. So maybe after a while, it's going to pop out a little bit.
It will pop up, my friend. Yes, it will. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere.
The low country, is it Geechee? What?
That's exactly right. Yes, Geechee.
Okay.
Yeah, Geechee. Sometimes Gullah. Not quite the same thing, but
Geechee,
yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes, yeah. Essentially, it's the same thing. It refers to the same culture, for the most part. So yeah, you'll hear them intertwined or used intertwined sometimes. Yeah.
So how'd you end up in Charlotte?
That was not a choice that I made. So I've been in Charlotte for a very long time. I came when I was in like grade school. It was a decision that my mom made. Okay. So we're essentially from Charleston. All of our family was in Charleston. And then my mom decided that she would move to Charlotte And so my twin sister and myself kind of just, we've been in Charlotte ever since. I can't say that it really feels like home, no matter how long we've been here. When we need to like get grounded, when we need to, I don't know, just kind of reset, we don't do that here. We go to where there is sand and sun and breeze and ocean and people who talk where nobody else can understand what they're saying, but we understand what they're saying. So Charleston is home for us. I always say home is wherever you learn to, you know, pray and share and give thanks. You know what I mean? And so for us, that's Charleston.
Well, you know, I'll tell you this, Hope. There's really no place like home. I mean, it really isn't. I don't care how old you get. And I had this conversation actually with someone the other day, because both of my parents grew up in Mississippi. And even when I was a child, my dad would always say, we're going home. We're going to trip home. And so there's no place like home. And so I totally buy it. Now, what's your sister's name? Faith.
Hope.
So
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
What do you think about that, Michelle? Huh?
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are 5 minutes apart. She is my fraternal twin, but it does not stop people when we are at the red light from like rolling down the window, honking their horn, saying, "Are y'all twins?" There was a guy on the corner one time who, you know, the people who hold up the arrow signs sometimes, and they'll like flip them and do tricks and toss them over their head and all of those things. And he stopped flipping the sign, right, to walk over and say, "Are y'all twins?" So I don't know. We're not identical, but it doesn't stop people from asking us continuously if we're twins.
Wow.
I understand. I have children. People ask if they were 13 months apart, but people would ask us all the time, "Are they twins? Are they twins?" No, they're not twins. They're not twins. So
they're just close.
They're just close, right?
Right.
That's awesome. Nancy says, "Do you have a third sister?" And I was thinking about that scripture, right? You know, because you know, hope, faith, charity, the greatest of these is charity.
That's right.
That was a scripture that actually we said in our church back in Jackson, Michigan. That was the responsive reading for as long as we were there at that church. And so when you say hope and faith, it makes me think about that scripture, you know, out of, you know, the 13th chapter, First Corinthians. So
First Corinthians. That's
awesome.
right.
Yeah.
I have an older brother, and he is older, so of course nobody knew if faith and hope was coming, right? And so they call him Gift. That's his nickname. So essentially, it's Gift, Faith, and Hope. Yeah. So that's the closest to charity as it's going to get. But he wasn't going to let anybody call him Charity. You can best believe that. What's going to happen?
So I would love to know the thought that your mom had with picking those names. You know, wouldn't that be interesting to have that
interesting.
Yeah. So now here's the funny thing, right? And I just hate to be the person that crushes everybody's dreams with that. So apparently we didn't have names for about 2 days. I was like, "Mom, what were you guys doing? You carried us for 9 months." I was confused about that, but we didn't have names. So we were baby A and baby B. And my auntie came and she said, "Well, let's try Faith and Hope." And that was after hearing a lot of names that my mother wanted for us. We were going to be Naimo, Salika, and Naima, Saliko. Yep, that was going to be, and my aunt, when she heard that, she said, "No, they will not be. They'll be Faith and Hope." And that's been our names ever since.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. She came and saved us, that's for sure. Everybody would have asked, "What does your name mean?" And then, you know, it didn't actually mean anything. So it's one thing.
So they would say, "Are you twins?" And then they would say, "Well, what does your name mean?" Right? So
right.
Questions, right?
Yes.
So Hope, let's get into this a little bit. You mentioned, and you kind of cracked me up a little bit. You mentioned that you had your number of jobs you had was starting to match your age and all this kind of stuff. And
yes.
So how did you? Because one of the things that when we first talked, is you mentioned how doing what you do, you enjoy what you're doing, you love what you do. And obviously there's a need there. I've used your services. You're very
Yeah.
good.
Thank you.
You've written my press releases. You've done email campaign. You've done some social media writing for me. So how did you turn or what were you a teacher? I mean, how did you switch, and how did you start this business and realize that there was a market for it? Tell us a little bit about that transition.
Okay, so let's see. I think the most relevant work that I have done it maybe started in 2010. My twin sister and I, we were really young at the time. We decided that we would start a jewelry company. And I saw that there was another company that also made jewelry, small business. They were written up in a magazine. And it's like a light bulb went off. And I said, well, I wonder what would happen if we ended up in a magazine, right? So I shot my shot. So I decided to shoot my shot. And we ended up with a magazine article, right? It was a local article. All I did was write. I decided to write the story to the editor, hoping that the editor would find a story within my story. It worked, right? So we landed our first round of local press, and that kept happening until we were in every publication in Charlotte. And so then we went on to national press. At the time, Jet magazine was still around. So we ended up with a profile featuring like Jet. But my point was that was my first taste of writing, like realizing that you can just do something really small, but if you use the right words, you can really grow your business. And that's how our business grew. We had no advertising dollars. All we had was hope and a laptop. You know, and I would have to figure out who these editors were and get their contact information, but it worked. And I thought that was interesting because at the time I was 23 and I wasn't trained in PR. But at that time, I discovered the power of writing, right? And then I ended up with a job when we kind of burned out with the jewelry company. I ended up with a job and I ended up working in 2014 for the men's shelter. And there I was working with a lot of gentlemen who had like prison stints, and they couldn't gain employment. And so all of a sudden the resume, the cover letter, the conviction explanation, those things were like gold, right? Because it was the thing that was either going to open a door of opportunity for them, or it was going to keep it shut. And so it was my job there as the income specialist at the men's shelter. And so like guys were landing jobs, you know, with these conviction explanations, right? And I was somehow managing to just use the right words to give these guys a second chance, and they gained some stability. And it didn't work for everybody because some people had more, you know, hard to forgive things in their past. You know, but for the most part, it was working. And so that was the second time that I realized that this whole writing thing could be going somewhere, right? It can take down barriers. And then I think the last thing that I did is I worked for another nonprofit, and they gave me an opportunity to do their communications. That was not originally a part of the plan for my job. Like it wasn't in my job description, but somehow I ended up supporting the communications department, and they carved out a couple of responsibilities for me. So I ended up sending things like emails and a lot of different communications for the nonprofit. And so I really essentially just kind of used those three opportunities to give shape to my business. And to this day, that's what I write. I write resumes and cover letters. I still write conviction letters. I do. I take on clients that a lot of individuals probably wouldn't take on. I still write for nonprofits. I love writing for businesses that are socially good. Like they are trying to make a profit, but at the same time, make the world like better. I still do all of those things. Had it not been for those three, you know, jobs, or those last three jobs that I took before I decided to become an entrepreneur, I really wouldn't have the niche that I have right now with Hope Writes. So I'm grateful. But, you know, those were the last three jobs, and I don't intend to go back to traditional W-2 employment. Let's just go ahead and set the record straight. Okay,
Yes.
my things are done.
So what do you think about that W-2 employees things, Michelle? You like,
I can never become. I can never be an employee again, ever in my life.
No.
And I tell people all the time, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, thank God for that, but you got to kind of know yourself, right?
Yeah.
And you know where you fit. So if you out there, don't go quitting your job,
right?
Don't do it.
But some people are meant to be entrepreneurs, right? And there's nothing wrong if you're not. But I think you can even approach your job from an entrepreneur standpoint. Yes. And I listened to this. And this is intriguing to me. I mean, what a wonderful story of writing resumes and explanations for convictions and helping people get jobs. And we were talking in the back room, and I just want to throw this out there. And I'm a numbers person. Michelle's a numbers person. But I want to throw this statement out there that we talked about earlier: the power of words. And let's talk about the power of words. I would say even spoken word, written word. So talk to us a little bit about your viewpoint on the power of words.
Yeah. So one of the things that I mentioned when we were backstage was that, it's really short. It's a short and simple philosophy to me, but it's a really powerful one. And I think that all of us, not just as small business owners, but just people in general, need to know that the right words will open doors of opportunity, right? And when we think about it that way, then we'll be far more intentional with our words, right? Because now we are empowered to know that it can either hurt us, right, or help us. And I would like to think that we would like, our words to help us more than hurt, right? But even when we think beyond the power of words as it relates to, economic things, like opening doors of opportunity, I think about the power of words in general. Like even in our personal relationships, I think my aunt said to me the other day, you better watch what you say because you can't take it back.
Yeah.
Right. And so we think about the number of relationships we may have lost, right? Over that one statement you made that you can't take back, but it pierces, right? So our words have a lot of power. And for that reason, I have a new client who works on the team with my celebrity client. And I had to gently say to her the other day, let's use positive language. Right? And I tell all of my clients that, I don't write, and I consider myself a conscious copywriter because I think about all of these things, right, as I write. But I try to be really conscientious of, I don't want to contribute to people's anxiety. So you're never going to hear me write something like, hurry now before it's too late. Last chance. You're never going to get that out of me. Okay. We're going to find another way to say that. We're going to find another way to let your audience know that this opportunity won't be around forever. But what we won't do is make them anxious. All right. That's not my contribution to the world. And so I consistently tell my clients, and even in my own life, I just try to keep my language positive, which really requires you to think before you speak, right? Essentially, that's what it is. And that's far more of a study and a practice than we realize. For me, things come to me really quick. So I have to be careful and kind of put brakes on my mouth and really think about how I say it. And when I write for my clients, it's the exact same thing. Being very intentional with our words and thinking about how they will hopefully inspire our audience's action. We don't want to force them into action. We don't want to trap them. We don't want to do any of those things.
We want to inspire. We
just want to inspire them. Yeah, we just want to inspire them. We don't want to finagle them. We don't want to do any of those things. All right. We want to err on and I think that there needs to just be a certain level of authenticity when we communicate with our audiences, no matter who our audience may be. There just needs to be a level of authenticity. And I continuously tell my clients that, and I think that people can feel that right?
Mhm.
People can feel when you are genuinely trying to offer them a service or a product because you genuinely feel like it will serve them. And so that's what I'm always reaching for, right? It's what is the actual benefit? And let's focus on that, right? We don't have to make anything up. We don't have to make empty promises. We don't have to do any of those things, right? We can keep it positive. We can keep it truthful. We can keep it light. We can be good people. You know, that's how I see it.
That is
Love
awesome.
it.
Awesome approach to what you're doing, and
Yeah.
it's such a needed service. I just want to say, for me, because I was in the midst of finishing this book, and I had this plan together, and I had these things that I needed to do, and we're doing this book launch and all of this,
Yeah.
and to be able to just release some things to you to write in terms of the marketing strategy and those type of things was really it was you're talking about a relief of pressure. I mean, you're talking about you don't want to add anxiety. It took anxiety away. I was like,
Right.
you got it, you got it. And so and you know, I think my wife is always talking about words and the use of words and you know what we say to people and those type of things. And so I think that's a great you someone says before you hit send, think about before you hit send.
That's
Right.
right.
So the tone of your
Mhm.
words, your tone. I mean, all caps. You know, what
Yep.
does that mean? And you know those types of things. So I
Yep.
imagine that you take all that into account as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think and even for me as a writer, and I do this every day, even for me, I've had those times where I say, I look at it, I read it, I say, this is not going in the direction that I needed it to go in, you know, really being honest with myself about maybe the tone and just knowing that either, you know, you go through and I edit it or I start from scratch. You know, like that's what it is. And it's regardless of how much time you put into it. But honestly, I think that that's why my service benefits so many of my clients, is because you don't have to put the time and energy into writing, rewriting, proofreading, making sure that the tone is correct, because I'm doing that. Right. So now you can use your time and energy in some other way. You can do what you do best. Right. And you almost, just like you said, you delegate that task off to someone who will sit there and hang onto every word, you know,
Right.
and that's me, you know, at the end of the day. Yeah.
So
I love
let me
it.
ask you. I want to ask this question.
Mhm.
Share with us one of your, if you can,
Yeah.
toughest writing assignments you've had.
Oh, glad you asked. So the celebrity client that I meet with tomorrow, I was asked to write a particular landing page, and I'm starting with nothing. And so that is very difficult for me. So what I will say is that I do not create things from thin air. I really need you to give me a who, what, when, where, and how. And
Yeah.
sometimes that can be a little rough trying to get people to deliver. And sometimes it just kind of depends on what their schedule is, that kind of thing. But it's so funny that you asked me, because today I was thinking this has got to be one of the most difficult projects I've ever had. And then here you are asking me the question, what's the most difficult project you've ever had? Yes, the ones where people give me nothing, like I have a magic wand. It doesn't exactly work that way.
The-
But typically the way it works when people call me is that they have like this jumbled, massive amount of ideas, and it's just my job to help give it some shape, right? So it's almost like they know what they want to say, almost.
Mhm.
But it's my job to make, yeah, it's my job to make it make sense to their audience, right? Or to their audiences, sometimes multiple audiences. Yeah, so that's what people are essentially bringing me on for. So I always say that the right words will open doors of opportunity. People hire me to find the right words,
Mhm.
right? And so as a strategist, as well as a copywriter, it's my job to make sure that I am delivering the right message to the right audience, and that that is happening at the right time. Because remember, I can have the right message in the right audience and deliver it at the wrong time, or deliver it using the wrong communication vehicle. right? So if I'm communicating with seniors, or I'm trying to win a senior vote, or I'm trying to get the attention of a senior audience, am I going to be on Instagram looking for them?
Right.
Am I going to put my perfect, message on Instagram for them? Probably not, So really making sure that you have the right combination of elements together, right? Aside from the right words. The right words will always get you to where you need to go, but they work better when they're paired with the right communication vehicle, the right time, and the right audience.
But it's so funny because someone just put it in that you must ask a lot of questions, and yes, you do.
Yes,
when
you know that.
In the interview, I was like, "Oh, these questions. Oh, yeah, you ask a lot of questions." And I try to give you as much. I'm going to give her everything that I can think of, so that when we do this Zoom interview for because I think we were doing a couple things. We were doing the press release,
yes,
and we were updating my LinkedIn profile. Right.
Yes.
And so I was like, I'm gonna give her everything that she needs. So she wanted to ask me no questions when we have this interview. And so I was at my daughter's outhouse. When we did the interview, I was waiting for something to be delivered. I was over there. And you do ask a lot of questions. And
I do.
But I think that's probably important for what you do.
I think so. And you know who I think who it benefits the most? It benefits the business clients, but who it really benefits, like time and time again, is a lot of the career professionals. The people who hire me to do things like their resumes, their cover letters. Oh my gosh, they're the most modest people on the planet. I ask you what you do, and you talk to me like all you do is sharpen pencils all day long. I'm like, wait, I know you do more than this, And so I think the questions that I ask those individuals, it helps them to get a better understanding of what their true offering is, what their true value is to an employer, so that they can confidently present themselves as an asset to the company. And so I think that has really served that particular client base really well. But for my business clients, it does kind of help them to better understand how to communicate effectively.
Yeah.
As it relates to when someone asks them, what do you do? Right? It's almost like after they've answered my 1 million questions, they are better able to communicate that. And so
even in a conversation.
Say it one more time.
They are able to better communicate that, even if it's a conversation.
Exactly.
Like a party or something like that. What do you do?
Exactly.
And that's always the question is, okay, when someone asks you, what do you do? How do you answer that? What's your elevator pitch? What's
your elevator pitch?
Right.
That's right.
So those are the types of things. And I know for me, one of the things that I was that I thought was kind of remarkable is that as I was asking you to write some things for me about the book that's going to be used, for marketing and all that, is that you read the whole book before you.
I did.
And before I think you are probably one of a handful of people that actually read the book before it was actually went to publish.
Yeah.
I've read it several times because she is awesome, and she's just awesome, and she's awesome, and she's an awesome proofreader, and all those things. And so she did a wonderful job. But I think my pastor was one. Obviously, the people at the publishing, and then my wife and you were the ones who actually read the book before it actually was issued, because you needed that to do some other things that I was asking you to do.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty impressive. Now, I know there's been some questions come up in the chat. Mm-hmm. And so I want to address some of those, if you don't mind. So someone asked, do you do grants? Do you write grants? Do you
write grants? So that's the answer that comes up often. I do not write grants. That's not a specialty of mine. I have written them. I have been awarded grant funding because of it. I have helped other individuals to get it, but it's just not my niche right now. So am I capable? Yes. Is it a service I offer? No. But I will give you this pointer as it relates to grants. Answer the question. That's the big one. Y'all, it's the big one. It's the big one. It's the big one is, and that's the importance, right? We can double back right now. That's the importance of knowing how to communicate what your business does. Yep. That's the importance of knowing how to communicate what the need is that you serve, because there might come a time where there's 20 grand on the table. And if you can communicate what the need is in the community and how you can solve it or serve it or address it, then that 20 grand is yours for grabs. And if you cannot communicate it effectively, well, then that 20 grand will stay right where it is, and it might end up in somebody else's pocket. So what I say is the biggest thing with grant writing is answer the question that is asked, ask it effectively. It doesn't matter how long the answer is, but the answer needs to be efficient. Okay.
So grant writing is not a niche, but we do resumes, we do cover letters, LinkedIn,
and all business writing,
press releases.
I do
commercials. So your commercials, they would be like TV commercials. You mentioned BMW as a client.
Yeah. So my client is BMW. So of course they came to them for the commercial, but my client doesn't write commercials. I write commercials. And so that's kind of how I get that work. I get it through agencies. I support Black and Brown agencies. I support Black and Brown businesses. Essentially, that's my niche. Everything in my portfolio is a Black and Brown business that might have a client like BMW, or might have a client that may not be Black or Brown. But at the end of the day, when I take the job, I supported that Black or Brown agency, that Black or Brown small business, that Black or Brown individual. So yes, yeah. So I do get commercials. It is a television commercial, both UNCC, BMW, and there's one other one I can't remember, but yeah. But as it relates to small businesses, where I really think I can be helpful is like mission statement, vision statement, what goes on your website, what goes in your wrap card, your brochure, that kind of thing, elevator pitches. That's where I can be most helpful.
Okay, that's awesome. I don't know why I just feel I guess it's in my spirit. I don't know. I want Michelle and you to connect.
Okay.
And the reason why is that I know Michelle. I know Michelle's heart. I know how she has a passion for women in business and coaching and consulting. And I just believe that there's some wisdom, there's some synergy there that can, and I don't know where that's going or where it's coming from, but I almost feel like I want to come off the screen and just let you guys spend a few minutes just talking, because I just have a lot of respect for what both of you are doing. Obviously, I've known Michelle for a long, long time. So look at what Ruth says. She says, "Thank you, Hope, for being so smart, intelligent, knowledgeable." Right. I'm so proud of you. Listen to that. Listen to that. And that's what the real is about. That right there,
right,
is what we do here on Tuesday night. And and I know that I will continue to use your services, and I would recommend others to do the same.
Thank you.
So we do need to let people know how to get a hold of you if they want to, engage in your services, thing, and anything else you might want to close out with.
Yeah. So to get in contact with me, should you need my services or you just want to bounce an idea off of my afro, you can do that at hello@hope-rights.com. Again, that's hello@hoperights.com. You can visit my website to find out what my specialties are and to also preview my work in my portfolio. And that's at www.hope-rights.com. Yeah, and I just really appreciate you, Tony and Michelle, for having me tonight. I appreciate your audience for listening to me talk about the commercials I made when I was a little girl and everything else. This was definitely refreshing. So thank you. Thank you both.
Awesome.
Thank you. Michelle.
Well, you know, I could say a lot, but just from your name, Hope Writes, like to me, that's a statement that
Yeah.
you're giving people hope. You
And
know, you are in what you're writing about whatever it is they have, you know, and you're right. You can't write anything out of thin air. I've had people ask me, "Oh, can you do a forecast for me?" I'm like, if I don't know what you want, I can't do a forecast.
Right.
I can't just make up the numbers like you can't just make up the words. So you
yeah,
got to have more information, right?
yeah, yeah,
Asking a lot of questions. I get
absolutely.
that. Yeah, there's a lot of parallels there. Um,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
yeah, understanding who you are and your like people understanding who you are and using your words because your words are is creating your future.
Mm.
I believe that.
Yes.
Yep,
Your words
absolutely.
are creating your future. So be careful of about how you speak and how you write so
Right.
that you know you're creating the future that you actually want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you
You
mind if I borrow that in the future? Because I
Oh
might need to
no,
borrow
go
that
right
in the
ahead,
future.
honey. Go right
in
ahead.
the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and God spoke, and it was so. There's power in our
There's
words,
power.
right?
That's true.
Power in our words. And look at Robin said, so enjoyed learning. Listen, great, so enjoyed learning about you, Hope, and your business. And again, I think that works because
Mhm.
like I said, I don't even know if I actually met you at one of Commissioner Leaks' things. I sponsored a couple luncheons and that type of thing. Or
You
if
did.
I picked up your card and it had Hope Writes. And you might have introduced yourself, but I don't know that we actually met.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I
Mm-mm.
remember picking up a card or brochure or something, and it had Hope Writes. And I, to this day, I really don't know where the card is, but I know when I was ready to look for someone for some help, I remember Hope Writes, and I said to Marlon,
Okay.
"Do you remember? Do you remember Hope Writes?" He's like, "Yeah, I remember." So you know how to get in Hope, and so I found you through Google. But
Oh,
that is branding, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle said Hope Writes, and that just I didn't even know that you had a name. I didn't know Rivers existed until later on down the road. I thought your last name was Wrights, right? Hope Wright. But I think it's pretty awesome what you're doing, and so
Yeah.
many great comments, that
Yeah.
are coming through, and that's a testament to your energy and
Oh,
what you bring. And so, with that, I thank you for being part of the show, being part of the Real Money Coach.
thank
Those who know, this will air again on
Mhm.
iHeartRadio.
you.
I will let you know. I will post that when that happens, but we will share clips of this interview on iHeartRadio, my show that airs every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. It will air again. So, again, just want to thank you for being here. Thank you, Michelle, for being here. Thank you, the audience, for showing up and showing out and being in the chat. And so, thank you for Michelle for reminding us stay in the green room. Hope don't run away after the show ends. We're gonna
Got it.
break it down. And so, listen, everyone, have a great week. Remember this. Remember that the wills and trust, understanding wills and trust webinar tomorrow by Alistair, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We will post that on a Facebook page and those type of things. It's free. Come in and get your house in order. And we'll see you here again next week on the Real Money Coach live show. And I want to thank Dante in the background making things happen. If y'all need somebody to run a stream, y'all need to get with my boy. He does a wonderful job. You need some writing. You need to get with him. Look. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is a great entertainment.
Honestly,
This
it's
is
funny.
popcorn, right? So we I appreciate both of you. And just thank everybody. Look at Sheila Gothard, Michelle.
Oh, hey, Sheila.
So we met Sheila back at Western.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we won't say what years we were there because it'll tell our age. But anyway, great to have you on tonight, Sheila.
Yes.
Lisa will be excited to see that as well. So listen, everybody have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time on the Real Money Coach Show. Let's take it home.